Hi, I'm number 13 out of 1.8 million, and this is my story.
When did you first realize you were undocumented and how did it feel?
I found out when I was a freshman in high school. The secretary from school called me to her office, to her desk, and then she asked me that she needed my social security number because she needed it for to put everything in file, to put all my documents, my info under my social. And I think back then school ID numbers didn't exist, so they needed the social security number. And so then she said that she needed it, and I said, okay, I'll go to my mom and I'll ask her. So I went and I asked my mom, um, well, I was upset because it was embarrassing that she was asking me this, and I couldn't believe that didn't have it, and that she hadn't given provided it to them. So I asked her, they're asking me for my social security number. I was like, where's mine? And that's when she told me that I didn't have one. I didn't have one because first of all, I wasn't born here, and I knew I wasn't born here. Well, yeah, I knew I wasn't born here, but it's kind of like you don't really think about it. You just know that you're not from here, but you don't really think of the importance of it. And so I thought, that's when she told me, well, you also don't have one is because when you were little, around, I think it was around 10 years old, my dad has been a resident since he was late 80s. And um, so then he asked me, so then she told me that my dad did not finish the immigration papers. And my parents are separated, so there's hardly any communication with him, but there is some. And then she told me that he didn't finish the immigration papers because he got really, really upset and really angry at her because she was starting to date somebody, and he was really angry, and he just needed to file one more paper to finish the immigration papers, the immigration process, the case, to finish the case. And he just, I guess, neglected to do that. And so so then so that was around when I was 10 years old. Um, and then this is when I was in high school already. So a few years already had passed. And he told me, so my mom told me that the only way I could fix this was that I asked my dad, and that I had to ask him. He was the only person. So I told, so then I was like, okay. So then that was it. But then I was hoping that the secretary wouldn't call me again, so I just ignored it. I was just so oblivious to it. I was like, okay, I'll just try to ignore it. But she called me again, and she asked me, so you haven't given us, your social security number. And she said, all you have to do is just go to the Social Security Administration office. And she said, well, I can't believe that your mom hasn't done this. Your mom should have done this already. And so I said, I'm like, okay, I'll just go ask my mom again. I said, Mom, I can't believe you haven't done this. You should have. They're asking me for it. It's really embarrassing that I'm going over there and, you haven't done this. And she said, well, it's not that easy. You just can't, you know, you can't just fill out a paper and then give it to you. Well, like, those are for people that were born here. And I said, okay. And it wasn't like, it was just frustration. And then she told me um, that I had to ask my dad again. And I didn't really want to talk to him, so I asked him. I asked him if he can help me with it, and he said that he would try. He said that he needed money because he didn't have any, and then he said, okay, my mom gave him some money to, so he can open up the case or use the money for whatever reason. And then he he told me that, that the case was open. I mean, that was closed, and they couldn't open it anymore. They couldn't. That case was just dead. So, I he said that you could only become the process would be faster if you became a citizen. He told me that he would have to become a citizen, but then he said, I don't want to become a citizen. I'm like, I want to keep my Mexican citizenship. And I said, okay. And I knew that in Mexico you can have two citizenships. It's allowed, it's permitted. And it's just a lot of frustration and anger. But I've, I have dealt with it. But I could have had I could have been documented a long time ago, but it just didn't happen. And that's when I pleaded the 4 years with my dad to help me, and he didn't, and he won't. And so
What have you done to help pass the DREAM Act, and what do you want others to do?
what I help to pass the DREAM Act is advocate for undocumented citizen nationalities with an organization, and I do presentations at high schools, educate them on AB 540 and the DREAM Act, and encourage them to go to college. A lot of undocumented students think that they can't go to college because how are they going to pay for it, and because they don't have a social. And I try to provide the resources out there, and just always mention the DREAM Act to people, educate them, inform them of the cause.